soar.
So if you're a coach or an entrepreneur who is ready to rise and have real mindset shifts, see results financially and personally, and feel supported every step of the way, then this is where you belong.
Head over to www.alphaqueencollective.com.
Are you curious about how the quantum energy world impacts your health and well-being? Join medical intuitive Jane Phillips as she provides a space for insight, growth, and transformation with practical tools and perspectives to help you stay positive, navigate challenges, and reclaim your personal power. Visit janecphillips.com to book a session or class and explore how energy wisdom can help you heal and thrive.
I'm Mark Anthony, author of The Afterlife Frequency. But don't expect a dry treatise. This book educates, entertains, and reads like a juicy novel.
Joining us today is psychic lawyer Mark Anthony. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I don't think there's another person on the planet anywhere who shares this guy's resume.
He's been on Coast to Coast, a radio show with me for years. He's a psychic lawyer, but he's the real deal.
This book also provides hope in coping with grief, crime, murder, PTSD, and survivor's guilt. The Afterlife Frequency teaches you my 4-step raft technique. Recognize spirit contact, accept it as real, feel it without fear, and trust them.
Welcome to Get Big Out Loud Radio, where we explore living the complex, funny, and beautiful ride of life with me, Carrie Knutson, and Dr. Pat on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Are your thoughts keeping you small? Are you ready to get big? I will offer you ideas to transform what you are thinking into conscious action. Explore what is keeping you small and how to shift your behaviors in order to get big. Learn what is possible for you. Get ready to get big and live life out loud starting now.
Everybody, I'm Dr. Pat, and I gotta tell you, the universe is like a super duper like smart. Now, universe is like this term that we use to explain higher power, God, Ba'aula, Buddha, whatever you want that to be. We say universe, that's what we say. But for those of you out there, you have Christ consciousness. So it may be Christ for you, maybe God for you. It doesn't matter, because what we're about to talk about today is so absolutely on point before we hop over next month into a different energy. Today on Get Big Out Loud with me and Carrie Knutson, the most incredible coach, speaker, and beyond. We are going to talk about something I learned in 1996. First time I heard the term, beginner's mindset. Carrie, what you doing? Are you like on my wall, or like, are you here? Like, I mean, are you, what? Okay. So beginner's mindset. So you're the United States team ice skating team. You're the United States, and you are at the 2026 Olympics, and you are behind, and then you're ahead, and then you're ahead by 5 points, but then you're ahead by 2 points. By the time you get to the last two skaters, the male skaters, United States and Japan, you are dead heat. And you are the young the skater they call the quad guy. And you know you didn't give your best. And you get on the ice, and the first spinning thing you do, you don't do it well. Now, enter beginner's mindset. Take it away, Carrie.
Oh my gosh, that's such a buildup, Dr. Pat. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I feel like in this situation, when you're thinking about beginner's mindset, the whole reason I want to talk about this is sometimes we get out of our head what's wrong into what's possible,
Thank
or what
you.
we're not doing right into like what we can do, or from simply
Yeah.
just not giving up to be like maybe being curious. And so
So
today,
the last 3 hours of my day, and I looked this over and I thought, what the heck is up with Carrie Knutson? How did she know I would have to do this?
listen,
So
because
tell me about this, man, because I don't know like what the heck you tap into, but you're talking about something that I've heard so important from so many people as we get ready to move into the new Chinese year.
yeah, the Chinese New Year's from year of the snake to year of the horse. It's like moving forward, right? And this is your symbol. You got a snake skin. Oh my gosh, you got both. You got the snake and the horse, right? Well, and I think the reason this resonates with you is because I'm a person like I love this quote, you're very unique, but you're not that special. Everyone is going through things right now, and I always like to talk about what I'm thinking about in real time. And so this beginner's mindset, the idea about this came because it's so interesting to think about as we get older how sometimes the idea of beginner's mindset, first of all, is it's from Zen Buddhism. It's called Soshin in Zen Buddhism, and it's the idea of like, can you be a beginner? And a beginner has an open mind to not having to know. And as we get older, I feel like we have to know, we have to be certain, we have to be good at it, we have to have some kind of assurance that it's all going to work out. And part of this idea of beginner's mindset is in order to grow and to really, I feel like, be the best versions of ourselves, what we're aspiring to be, we have to engage in the beginner's mindset, especially as we get older, to counteract that kind of the smallness that sometimes we get into of our worlds, of our thinking, of our belief systems. So I wanted to talk about this topic, especially as we change over into the Chinese New Year, to think about how we let some things go in order to get some things new, right? Or to expand ourselves. But we have to think about, why is it hard to start? Why is it hard to have the conversation? Take the class, sign up for the thing, do the chore you've been putting off, change something either small or significant. What is the issue with that? And a lot of times it's in our minds first. It's not the actual skill set. It's not anything that, the logistics of it that comes into play. But I wanted to talk about the beginner's mindset because a lot of this starts in our minds. And a lot of it is like, who am I? What am I capable of? What's my life like now? And let's say when you think about trying something new or something different, like, I don't have time for that. I have things to do. I'm busy. I've got a lot of things going on. And so sometimes the beginner's mindset is around, I'm trying to think how to say this, around stepping back and thinking like, is it not that I have the time? Is it that I'm not willing to try? And I'm using time as an excuse because, again, as we get older, the idea around how much time we have and how is this a waste of time, or I don't have time to learn something new, or even if it would help me, I'm used to doing it this way, so I'll keep doing it. So this is the kind of thing I wanted to bring up today. And I think we potentially have lost Dr. Pat. And now she's coming back.
Sorry, I lost all my sound. Are we live? Or are we on break?
Oh, that's okay.
Are we on break? We're still live. Emily, did you get my chat that I was texting you right there? Hey, everybody, this is what I love about the topic today. You got to see it in action. Here we are talking about beginner's mindset. And all of a sudden, I lose sound. In the world that I live in, we don't lose sound. But when we're talking about things of a high vibration and a high energy and a consciousness of the collective, what happens is sometimes a frequency will take whatever the energy is and pull us back. What you just heard now is a pause, and there's a reason for it. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, what does one need to do? Number one thing to enter in to this practice of beginner's mindset. What if I were to tell you it's just what happened now? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia will take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were and how to awaken that power today. Julia studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for new state of mind. Learn to master the secrets of manifestation. Visit onetrueself.com.
Are you ready to get big and live your life out loud? Tune in to Get Big Out Loud Radio, exploring life through the lens of curiosity and compassion, with me, Carrie Knudsen, joining Dr. Pat live every second Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I will offer ideas to transform what you are thinking into conscious action. If you want to get big and live your life out loud, visit me at KnudsenSpeaks.com.
Mystery School Ancient Wisdom for Everyday Life is your practical and inspiring gateway to spiritual awakening. Join me, Shakti Durga, and Dr. Pat every first and third Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time as we explore relationships, inner plane realities, channel light beings, learn.
Cut the shit.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, what you just saw is exactly what we're talking about. And what I want to say, and what I want to say to all of you, and Carrie's going to explain it. When she was speaking about, these are my words, this little hamster wheel. You ever see a little hamster? I don't like to see any caged animals, period. But the little hamster gets on the wheel and it runs and runs and runs. And I remember having a teacher, a spiritual teacher, that talked about this. Oh my God, she did like 30 minutes of just explaining the hamster thing. We're not going to put you all through that. But there's food that the hamster is chasing. And it doesn't realize until it's exhausted and has to stop, and the food drops right in front of it, that is a main course for what we're talking about today. Carrie, beginner's mindset. Aren't there some things that we have to learn in order for us to get the benefit of this?
Yes, definitely. And that's even putting it in our conscious mind. Like, what is this beginner's mindset? And another way I think about this is, can we be curious? And when you bring up the hamster going on the wheel, this is a good metaphor for a lot of us in our lives. The busyness in our lives, chasing the things we think we need to chase. And sometimes wondering, why am I exhausted? Right? What am I doing? And I'm being so productive and I'm doing all the things. And then to get the prize, and then we don't feel fulfilled though, or we feel exhausted. And it's really not how, I don't think we're meant, I put that in the category of some kind of suffering. I don't think we're meant to suffer in that way, to walk around exhausted and wondering, is this all there is? And sometimes we can't see past what we're doing in our day-to-day lives because we're just busy doing that, even though we know some other things might bring in joy, might bring in some relaxation, might bring in some peace, might bring in some other ways of thinking, might bring some new people into our lives that will give us new ideas. It might, all sorts of things could happen, but we're so in our track, and sometimes it's hard to get off the wheel. And that's why the first thing that I like to think about is, if you think about beginner's mindset and thinking about, can I just get into my own mindset? Could I pause? And just sometimes the idea of just taking a deep breath and being like, I'm going to like refocus myself and stop running for a second, right? And then pause in your breath to think about, okay, doing something new or changing something in my life does require a risk. So I got to deal with, maybe it feels risky for me to try something different. Maybe I have to deal with my vulnerability of asking for help, of not knowing. Maybe I have to feel like I got to manage my idea. I'm used to being very efficient, and now I might be inefficient. Learning something new might be very inefficient. It might take me more time. Or maybe I'm just worried about that I might be embarrassed, and contending with that. And those are some of the feelings we have to manage first. Because what happens is, if your busyness comes up and you're like, I want to do something different, I want to try something new, I'm curious about what's possible for me if I did blah blah blah, the very next thing that's going to come up is all these feelings. Well, that's risky, you're going to be vulnerable, you won't be efficient, and you're embarrassing. And as adults, we don't like those things. We try to manage risk, we try to not be vulnerable, most of us, and be very efficient, and we don't want to embarrass ourselves. So see how the push-pull of those really strong emotions can come into play. So sometimes when you think about, if I had a beginner's mindset about, think of any situation in your life where it could be beneficial, you could see clearly it would be beneficial for me to maybe do this thing or try this thing or call this person. And then right after that, your brain offers up like, but here's why you shouldn't.
I know.
And you have to contend with those two things. And sometimes just knowing that's going to happen, that your brain is going to offer up all these things, is so important. So you can think, oh, I see what you're doing there. I see what you did. Because the brain wants to keep us comfortable, even in our discomfort. It loves to know what to expect. It loves the idea of like, here's how our day is going to be. Here's the people here's what we're going to do. And if you throw something new in the mix or do something different, it's like red alert. Something new is happening. And so this is why it's so important to start with the beginner's mind in your mind, thinking about what's going on there. And I feel like those competing parts of ourselves, the parts that know we want to do new things, try things differently, have different conversations, connect with different people, whatever it is, has to contend with the part of ourselves that's, we're creatures of habit. We want to do what we've done the way we've always done it. Even if it's not the best, at least we know what to expect. So our brain can be like, okay. I feel like the brain's like, well, please keep it normal. So once you can contend with that, the next thing with your brain that you have to think about is, if you want to, again, it could be any shift that you're trying to make. If you want to do that thing, you have to leave what we call your comfort zone. And idea of the comfort zone is places that keep you feeling safe. You know what to expect in these spaces. If you want to do something different, you have to leave that space. The first big feeling that's going to come up is fear. Here's why I can't, because I'm scared, I'm afraid, and whatever package fear looks like. Fear is a great cover emotion for all these other things. And if you can tell yourself, I can see fear as a symbol of like, oh, I'm going to do something different now, instead of a reason not to do the thing. And here's what I like to think about. You know the difference between fear and danger. If you're about to try something new or do something and danger pops up, don't do that thing. Right? But very few things are actually the danger. Most times it's fear, and you know the difference. And that's when you can start to be discerning. Oh, I'm just scared. And then you thank the fear. Okay, I see you. And then you do it anyway. And one of the best quotes, I say this all the time because I see fear popping up for me, is, what if everything you want is on the other side of fear? And if you can acknowledge that and see, I haven't even actually done the thing yet. It's me wanting to do the thing, contending with all the stuff my mind's going to throw at me, to really kind of become aware of myself. When I want to change, what does my brain throw up to say why I can't? And then what's the difference between fear and danger? And when I face my own set of fears, what does it look like for me? And so that's just a way of starting to think about beginner's mindset, is my mind first, then my actions second. And sometimes we try to do the action first, and then we like feel, let's just do a quick example. Let's say like, I'm going to sign up for this new class. I'm going to take I don't know, what's the class? I'm trying to think, like a HIIT class or something at an aerobics studio where you like do something with weights, all that stuff. And it's your first time. And you go in there and you expect to be good at everything. And then you don't know what weights to get. You don't know the routine. You don't know where to put stuff. You don't know how it all works. You don't know when in the class. You spend half the time thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my God, everyone's lifting heavier weights than me. What could I do? And then you haven't prepared yourself to have a beginner's mindset with like, I'm going to check out this class. I don't have to know everything. I'm probably going to have a lot of questions. I'll probably lift the lightest weights that I can lift, right? You have to do your mind first, because if you show up, that's when people, I hated that class. That wasn't any good. That's not for me. And we just shut it down because we don't prepare our minds first. And that is why I think it's so important to talk about this. Your mind first, then the action second, not the other way around.
And I love you're talking about this. I want to go back to your description or example to follow along with this for everybody. We describe beginner's mind, the Shoshin, and it's actually two separate words. I think it's in Japanese, but you can all look that up. what it really means is to be at that place is when you are ready to let go of preconceived notions. Now, what does that mean? That means the story that just infiltrated your line of thinking, which are totally made up, which may or may not be true, or which represents the darkest side of your choice point, or which represents the darkest outcome, or which represents nothing in the world of possibilities. And I would love for you to elaborate on this because this is so important. It really does call us to a different level of belief, a belief in that which we cannot see sometimes. And everybody on the planet does that. You know that? Why? Well, we have a dream. Oh my God, I had a dream. I believe it. But what we're talking about today is seriously important in the world we're living with, because if we don't learn to do this, our brains get wired for information that is so convoluted that I hear people say, I can't remember who I am. What do you think of that?
Well, this is interesting because again, all thing starts in our minds first. The whole thing of like, there's a quote, "Don't believe everything you think," and that's kind of comes up like, did I think that? What was the purpose of that? And sometimes the darkest parts of ourselves come up, and it offers itself. I like to use the quote, "Have a mind open by wonder rather than one closed by belief," because I like to think about this idea. Sometimes we believe things about ourselves that aren't true. I can't do this because that I'm not the right person for this. And it's not true, but we've told ourselves a story. And sometimes we believe it. Like we're really emphatic about it. And when we reality test, we're like, well, that might not be true. But again, we're keeping ourselves in our safe zone. And this whole idea of have a mind open by wonder rather than closed by belief, that's all around curiosity. What might be possible? What could happen? And curiosity and the beginner's mindset go hand in hand. And again, you have to contend with the thing our brains offer up all these other things, like you mentioned about the dark things, the reasons we can't. One of the things I find it offers up to a lot of people when I'm working with them is called playing to your weaknesses. And so you say, here's why I can't do the thing. And you offer proof. I'm too old. I don't have this degree. I don't have the right, I'm too fat. I don't have this much money. I don't have whatever we're going to say. We try to defend why we can't do it. So defending a weakness is a way that we like prove to ourselves, here's why I can't. And that isn't an important thing in your brain. It's just like, I feel like our brains want so badly to keep us in a certain place. And when we stretch outside that, we have to contend with all these other thoughts. And so again, the thoughts are coming up and they're real. And that's why if you can manage your mind first to be like, oh, I see what's coming up. Oh, look what this is offering me. And here's just like a quick example of like something that I thought was funny for me in my own life that I just couldn't see past the moment. And I told my husband, I came home from a gig speaking and I said, oh my God, I feel like one day I could be a professional speaker. I could do it. And he's like, so did you just come from a gig? I'm like, yeah. He goes, do you have other gigs planned? He's like, have you other gigs in the past? Are people paying you to speak? I'm like, of course, you know that. And he's like this pregnant pause of like, so, and I was somehow waiting for some marker of like, one day I'll be a professional speaker. When what? I wasn't allowing, like, I'm doing the work right now. Maybe it's on this kind of stage, but maybe I want to get there, but I'm still doing the work. And sometimes our belief systems are in our own world. I'm not a professional speaker because I didn't get a degree in it. And so I'm a therapist because I got a degree in it, but not a professional speaker. And that's like, so, but see how convoluted it is?
Yeah.
But until we get on that journey, sometimes we think things about ourselves that aren't true. And this is so important because it can be little things or big things in our lives. And noticing where you're in denial, noticing where you create a story around something, notice where you feel especially emphatic around, here's why I can't do it. Pay attention to those things because the key to solve the problem often lies in the story you're telling yourself about the problem. And so this is like something that it's important to to consider, especially when you think about the beginner's mindset, to consider these, like, again, what's being curious, what I think, this is what I always say, it's so great to be curious about the most interesting person in the world. You are the most interesting, complex, unique person. Be interested in you, be curious. I wonder why I said that. I wonder that was hard for me, instead of being judgmental, because curious and judgment don't go hand in hand. If you can say, if you can offer, I wonder why I thought I couldn't say I was a professional speaker. That was weird. What was going on with me? And being curious about that versus like, that was stupid and I can't, like, see the judgment. It just is two things. And sometimes we have to own what we're saying. And I'm going to give you one other example about this that's in a different world. I was in triathlon, and I did as a mini triathlon, and I'm a good swimmer, and I figure I could walk if I couldn't run, but the bike, the gears, the clipping in was a conundrum to me. And when I went to this triathlon class, everyone was already on their bikes and clipping in and so good. And I had borrowed a bike with clips, but I had never ridden a clip bike before. My friend let me borrow it. I fell.
Yeah, me too.
I got on that bike and I fell. I fell in front of this whole group, and everyone has their Lycra on and they're so cool and they know all the things. And I had gone to practice, learning about riding my bike. But what kept me from really learning was when I got there, everyone was already, I felt, oh, they're already better than me. They already know what they're doing. And so then instead of asking for help or being like, hey, can someone help me with this? I just got on and tried to muscle through it. And then, of course, I fell. And then I was so embarrassed from falling that I couldn't recover in order to like learn about the thing. Then I was dealing with my pride the whole time instead of learning about clipping in and out and figuring out your gears. So I wasted an entire session that I had signed up for because I couldn't get out of my head. And my embarrassment about falling and learning to ride a bike with clips as an adult was so embarrassing that I couldn't recover in the moment. And so later, what I had to figure out, I was like, wow, am I going to let that be the end of the story? I fell, now I'm not going to ride the clip-on bike and not do the triathlon? Or am I going to let myself try again? And this time, am I going to hire a coach and like take a one-on-one bike riding lesson as an adult and get over it already, right? Because I want the thing of doing the triathlon more than I want to stay in my safe zone or my fear of embarrassment. And sometimes we have to check ourselves, because in the moment, that whole first time falling and embarrassing myself and thinking I would just quit, I had to like, again, process in my brain, because that was like proof. See, here's why you can't do it. See, because I wanted to be good right away. And sometimes we just want to be good right away, and we can't sit with the beginner's mindset is, what if you're not good? What if it takes a long time?
Or the other thing, Carrie, is the other thing is we think life doesn't have what we call little setbacks. And setbacks are setups. They're set up for a greater solution and possibility. That's my philosophy. But what you're talking about, that whole thing with the clip thing, oh my gosh, I had the same experience. Oh, it was just like, I mean, it's hysterical now that I think about it, but it wasn't so hysterical going with it. But I want to ask you this question before we go to break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it, is our minds can go from 0 to 120 about how, in a nanosecond with the clip, let's stay with the bike clip, in a nanosecond, it will go there and tell you you failed and you will never get up again. And I want to tell you, I've had that for the past 4 days. And what I woke up this morning, and I had a great conversation for one of our other hosts who is highly spiritual, these traditions we're talking about. And then I pulled out a book. Just pulled it. It's got my little wood things in it. Do you see the wood? Like the little, these are coffee, what are they? Coffee stirrers? And I pulled out the book, and I want to read this. And when we come back from break, we're going to take it on. Nothing is ever twice alike. Really? Everything is continuously being recreated, and it literally is true that the creative spirit is forever making all things new. We must permit it to make them new for us. And it goes on today with very, very cool little things you can say. And it really is interesting. For example, I'm going to leave everybody with this. There is nothing in my thought about the past or the future that can in any way deny me the pleasure and privilege of living today, as though everything was complete and perfect. My whole expectancy is of much and more of good and better. We're going to take a short break.
What's the book, Dr. Pat?
The book is called Creative Ideas, A Spiritual Compass for Personal Expression by Ernest Holmes, forward by Julia Cameron. When we come back, I realized about my personality aligned with this today. Now, clearly, the thing that happened to me, my aha moment came before I saw your outline. That's why I'm saying you must be living here with us. I know, Carrie, you're living here with us, because I watched this skater, this amazing, they're all amazing, but this amazing young man. And everybody watched him, had so much expectation. Everything was on the line. He was it. If he didn't win, hello, Team USA, crash and burn. And he gets out and he does his first spin and he misses it. When we come back, who are you? Do you know yourself well enough? Are you the person that if that happens to you, like it did to another skater, and they just came apart? Or do you do something different? When we come back, if you think you're a fighter, are you willing to fight for the freedom of taking your mind and creating the life you love? Are you ready for that? Let's take a short break. When we come back, Carrie Knudsen, she's got so many examples today in the show. I want to hear the screenwriting one because that would be my worst nightmare. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I'll give you lots of information about Carrie. And do you know yourself? We'll be right back.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The power of inspiration and awakening radio with Julia will take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were and how to awaken that power today. Julia studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for new state of mind. Learn to master the secrets of manifestation. Visit onetrueself.com.
Are you ready to get big and live your life out loud? Tune in to Get Big Out Loud Radio, exploring life through the lens of curiosity and compassion, with me, Carrie Knudsen, joining Dr. Pat live every second Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I will offer ideas to transform what you are thinking into conscious action. If you want to get big and live your life out loud, visit me at KnudsenSpeaks.com.
Mystery School Ancient Wisdom for Everyday Life is your practice.
Cut the shit. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's so great to have you tune us in, turn us on. And by the way, just to kind of get you tuned in here, you're listening to a show, and Carrie Knudsen is the host of Get Big Out Loud. Now, Carrie, before we talk story, examples, and solutions, how do people find out more about you? Because you're not just a speaker, you're a coach of people that want to speak. You're a coach of people that want to be successful. What's the best way for people to find out?
Yeah, you can go to KnudsenSpeaks.com and find out all about me there. Coaching, speaking, training, consulting, all the things. And I do especially love when doing trainings and then meeting people who want coaching, either to be a better public speaker or to work on their own kind of advocacy and feeling like, things that they want to accomplish. And sometimes coaching is such a great way to feel like I really want to work on this and I want someone to support me. So you can find out all about me at KnudsenSpeaks.com.
So I want to continue the story. The young man is that I was referring to in the team skating sport, ice skating, is Ilya Melanin, and he is nicknamed the Quad Guy. Why? Because he can do quad spins like nobody else, right? So he got that name. And here we are, they're tied, Japan and the United States, and it's down to two last men to skate. And he comes out on the ice. Flawless. When you see him skate, he is flawless. So when you read the headlines now, they all say, oh, no, Ilya is human after all. Okay, that's not what I saw. I don't think he is human. Here's why. He came out on the, and I realize how much I am like this and how willing I am to not be like this the rest of my life, because there's a downside to this. See, he comes out, his first spin, misses it. Hello? What? You could hear a pin drop. Everybody's just, they looked at that. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. That's where everybody, they're going to lose, not going to win. Team USA is going to lose. What do you think he did with that? This is why I say, contrary to NBC and all you people out there who said he's human after, no way. Because what he did is he came back with the fierceness and excellence. Not only did he put that spin back in, he did it several times. And he finished that program. This is only a minute or something here, a couple minutes to skate. And he came back like nobody's business. So does it take sometimes people to crash and burn a little bit? And I realize how much I'm like that. I realized that last year, and we're still in the year of the snake, how this shedding has really caused me to a point of quitting until today. Something happened today, and I got like him. And I don't know if it was my conversation with Singh. I don't know what it was, but it happened less than a half hour before we came on. But I was feeling like that could be me missing that quad toe spinning thing and just not getting up again. You got up again over bike cleats or whatever they're called. Clips, cleats,
yeah,
I don't know. Clipping in.
Yeah.
I am being asked to shed every disbelief that I have about what I'm called to do. I need to remove, and I'm not alone. Carrie, what you're talking about today with beginner's mind, it's never been more prominent. So you have a fascinating story that I think you should share. Every time I get a show from you, I'm thinking to myself, what did she do? Screenwriting?
Yes, all right.
Come on.
I know. Okay, so I'll tie this in. I wanted to speak to real quick to the skater you're talking about, who like that fearlessness or that maybe fear or embarrassment or whatever happened, missing something, and then causing you to come back stronger. Sometimes part of the failure or the not performing or the not doing, it is a motivator to some of us to be like, let's get back up. I'm going to try harder now. Right. And so, but that's another kind of line that we cross. Sometimes when we fail or fall or don't achieve whatever, then we use it as a way to say, see, I can. And then there's other people who say, see, I can. And I'm going to show you. It's a motivator for some of us, right? So that's such a good example of that skater. I love that you said, it made me think about what I see in myself. And I think we can all, anybody listening to the show, and I can feel like missing something you thought you could do or trying for something and that feeling of like, oh, and you could stay in that or you could get up and try again. And so that's the kind of purpose driven. I love that. I love that metaphor for like what things in your life have you missed, and did it make you stronger or did it make you give up?
Exactly. Now, my weak spot, an Achilles heel, is not what you think. I am extremely naive when it comes to reading other people. And that has been shown to me this year, even up to today. I misread people. Now, thank goodness I have Linda and Jessica, because they don't. But part of this is all of us have a place that we need to grow. Now, I'm giving you the short version of this, but it's because I'm misreading myself. That leads us to talk about reading and screenwriting, doesn't it?
Yes. Okay. So this is the example that I brought up, misreading ourselves. So like I have been thinking for a long time about writing a movie, and I don't know anything about screenwriting. I don't know anything about movies, anything at all. And I finally was like, well, why don't I just take a screenwriting class and just take a 101 and like see what it's all about? But then I was busy and then I had other things to do and I didn't have to prioritize it. And plus, who has time to learn how to write a screenplay? So I had to get through that first thing. And I was like, I do have time. And I'm going to switch my schedule around. And I'm getting the classes at night. So I had to tell my husband, like, hey, on Monday nights from 6 to 9:30, can we figure out dinner and kids stuff? Can you help me? And he was like, sure. But I had to be like, ask for help, right? And change our schedule. So that was the first thing. Then getting into the class and deciding to take it was just part of like allowing myself permission to be like, I want to just learn about something I know nothing about and something I'm interested in. Then getting into the class, I find that all these people are really good and I'm not. And I'm used to being somewhat proficient or really good, but writing a screenplay is not like writing this podcast or writing articles or things I'm used to. I feel like I'm a good writer and I am not a good screenwriter yet because I have not done it before. And I have to contend with my mindset of when people are submitting their scripts and they're really good. And then I'm working on my script and it's not really good. And I think, God, is the whole purpose to be good or is it just to try and get better? You have to start to get better. And so I noticed my resistance coming up so much. And it's funny for me, who is used to feeling, I think, in the places where I am on my stages and places fairly confident. In the screenwriting class, we had to submit our work. And then we do what's called a table read where other people read your work. Like, and I was panicking. A panic set in. Not only submitting it and then thinking it was not any good. And then days before my table read, I felt sick to my stomach. I felt nauseous. And I was like, I don't want anyone to read it out loud. And then it came the day to read my script. And then the whole time I felt like it just was like this inside. And then I was like, people are going to judge it. People are not going to like it. And this is so bad compared to theirs. And my mind again was doing my monkey mind, was just going off on all sorts of things. But then I was proud of myself for sitting through all the things my brain offered up, which was embarrassing, feeling inefficient, being vulnerable, feeling new at something and not being good. And I thought for me, the lesson is, my underlying message is you better be good at everything or don't try it. You better be good at everything.
There you go. There you go.
And then also my underlying message is I don't think I'm patient with the process. And I feel like I'm very patient with other people and situations, but not with myself. For some reason, I have to like do it by tomorrow, figure it out. And sometimes things take time. You have to learn things, right? And I would say that to anyone else starting out, but I notice what comes up for me is I should be good at it and it should be done by tomorrow. And just because I wrote 10 pages means I should now be a script writer. And so the funny part about this class, though, it was beautiful because it's just offered up so much for me in terms of like learning something new. First of all, it's been so fascinating learning about a world I know nothing about in screenwriting, and then learning from people that know about it, are interested, that live and breathe this stuff. And then dipping my toe in, but also doing something, not just thinking about doing something, but having to have a beginner's mindset and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. So teach me. I know this. And then I spent all this time writing, and then I had to laugh at myself later. I wrote a whole section that just could have been put in a director's note, but yet I spent 10 pages of my script. Then I didn't format it correctly after spending all this time on the software. And I had to be like, I feel like the universe was like, oh, how bad do you want it? Because
exactly. And
now
isn't that it though? Isn't that, I don't know always, but isn't that the prod? Like, Ilian,
yes,
how badly do you want it? Because he lost to this Japanese skater last time out. How bad do you want it?
Mm-hmm. And you have to ask yourself that even if something you can't even articulate why you want it or why it's important. But sometimes it's like, how bad do you want the experience? Proving to yourself you didn't give up, telling yourself you can try something, not be the best at it, proving to yourself that you're worthy of growth and expansion, proving to yourself you're not who you thought you were. You have some other things, like, what is the proving, right? And so sitting with the discomfort in the lesson or the learning, and again, now I can laugh about it, but for the past few weeks I've been a mess, I've been ridiculous, and I've been like reading movie scripts and watching and then revising my own and asking people my log line, which is the gist of the script, and then getting feedback, and then doing this in a table read and feeling, and like I've been laughing now looking back at, like, look at all the things that this offered up for me to grow and learn. And I'm so glad I didn't quit. I'm so glad I didn't make an excuse for why I can't do a Monday night class now, and this is, or I can't do this, or like, okay, that first table read was enough. Now I tried it, I dipped my toes, and now I'm done. I'm gonna finish this class, right? And I'm gonna do it. Now I got the fire in me, and it's
Exactly.
almost feels like that's my energy now, but that's not how it started.
No.
The energy it started, it was simply a willingness to try, a willingness to shift, a willingness to listen to it. I might want to do something different. I've been thinking about this for a while. So the willingness, I think, is more of a whisper, and something that tends, we don't hear it in the busyness of our life, but yet we know it's there. The thing we want to do, the class we want to take, the conversation we want to have, the dream we want to share with someone, the thing we want to change about where we live or how we do our jobs, or something tangible, like, moving a room around, or cleaning out a closet, whatever the thing is that we want to change or do. It starts like as a whisper, I think, and it becomes like, can I just be willing? And the idea is, like, is the willingness, I feel, is like, that's why I'm feeling like, okay, it's just more gentle. Later, maybe the motivation, like, yeah, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to try, or I'm not going to be stopped by falling off the bike or being the worst in the class or the slowest or taking hours to write something that then didn't fit or messing up the program, whatever. Now it's comical in a way, but now it's lit a fire under me to be like, oh, I'm not a quitter, and I know that much about myself.
Exactly. And do you find this, Carrie, do you find that if you get to a little place, I'm going to call it mental complacency, because I think it starts in the mind. I really do. I think before you can actually do nothing in your life, it starts in the mind. And what is so interesting about what you're sharing is sometimes you do need that fire. Over 500,000 women lost their jobs this year in the United States, compared to about a quarter of that for men. And I thought about these women, and I thought about, what are they doing to inspire me? Because I've been through that. And it got me fired up to do more, especially with the women's channel. But here, I got to give you a throwback on football. I know. Okay. Bottom line, I got to do it.
Okay, just so everybody knows, I don't know anything about football.
No, right.
And Dr. Pat brings up stuff, and I have to be like, okay, tell me, Dr. Pat.
No. But here's the story. So you're watching the Seahawks play the Patriots, and it is like, it's 9-0. They go to half. Seahawks are winning. Defense, ugh. But the same old story that they have said about Sam Darnold shows up in the first half. Dude doesn't know how to play under pressure. Okay. They go into whatever they do in the locker room, and they come out, and this is not the same quarterback. He's a great listener. He listens. They told him, you've got to move. And we watched the second half unfold, and you can hear the announcers still not willing to give this guy credit all season long. He's a joke, la, 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 la. He's laughing all the way to bank right now. But here's what they turned around. Despite the comments, despite the way they played, and, two of their top receivers, 30 and 28 yards in the first half, come back. And they scored 3 touchdowns. 92 yards, 7 catches Smith gets, 67 yards. 4 receptions because they had to erase the first half. They had to erase whatever they were thinking about whatever they were doing in their minds. Because you see, it's not just about throwing a ball. It's how you're going to show up and walk up to the line. Are you walking up to the line of your life, Carrie, as winning and a winner, despite what's going on around you, despite what's going on in your business, despite the gig you may or may not get to speak? Are you willing to walk up to the winning line of life?
Dr. Pat, that's beautiful, especially for a non-football person thinking about what it takes. And I like that sometimes you have to get past what happened in that first half, like you're talking about, to show up to the line now in the moment. What's the present moment asking of us? And that's, again, in your mind. Sometimes we live in the past and we're like, well, this happened before and this is why I can't and this is all I can do. And then also, if we've been defeated many times in life and things have not gone our way, it's hard to show up to that line, sometimes thinking like, what will be different this time? But part of the human condition is that we keep trying. Maybe something different, maybe something else, maybe we ask for help, maybe we do it a different way. But the thing about trying is you can't give up, because this is life. This is, to me, the purpose of life is to keep going.
Yep. And that's my message today. That's the message I need to hear. And you're bringing it full steam. Now, look, before we get to a closing message and bring this full circle, especially about the most important shift, how do people find out about you? Let's make sure people can listen to your past shows, can get a hold of you. I mean, more people. You know what our theme is for this year? 2026 is the year to be unmissable, unforgettable, and unapologetically visible. And for you to do that, you may need to learn some skills. And Carrie Knudsen, you can help people with that, right?
Yes. And I feel like I'm doing that too on my own. And that's why I feel like, as a lifelong learner, someone who wants to learn and grow, that's why I love when I work with people in the coaching sphere, like people, especially around public speaking. If you want to get better, you always have to start to get better. You have to be willing to put yourself out there to get critiqued. You have to be willing to show some work in order to get feedback. Then you have to handle the feedback or the judgment or whatever. Like, part of it is the willingness to do that. And that's why I love in my own life, I like to practice what I'm talking about all the time. And so, like, you'll see at KnudsenSpeaks.com a list too of all my topics. Over the past few years, I've added topics and done things that I've learned more about, that I'm interested in, I think connect with people. Because my goal is not to do the same things all the time. Sometimes I learn something like, oh, I want to talk about this. Or, oh, I could turn this into part of a presentation. Or, oh, I could shift this. And I think it's funny because my husband's always like, haven't you already done this presentation? Like a bunch of I'm like, well, I read this book, or I had this thought, or I want to change it, or I want to do something different, because I'm growing too. And I'm changing too. And that's the thing that I feel most, let's say, inspired about life, about the fact that we can change, we can grow. I can go from someone who didn't know about clips to someone who knows about clips, right? And it doesn't mean I'm the world's best triathlete, or I'm going to do, like, I did some triathlons and now that's great, but I'm not now a world famous biker. I wanted the experience of clips. I figured out clips. I wanted the experience of screenplay writing. I went out and had that experience. I'm having it now. Who knows where that will lead me? The point isn't to be like, and now I've achieved whatever. I'm just, the effort alone is sometimes worth the journey of learning about yourself and putting in the effort, without the hope of, like, then being the best or being even competent at something. But maybe it shifts your mind about what you're willing to do, who you might be, what is bigger than this moment. And the fact that you've done it in the past for other things lets you, like you're saying, lets you show up to the line. Like, hey, I've done this in the past with other things and I haven't given up. I can show up to this challenge, to the line, knowing who I am is someone who doesn't give up, someone who tries again, someone who's willing to be vulnerable or inefficient or embarrassed, or someone who's willing to take a risk. I am someone who, so that connects back to our identity. That is power. That's where shifts happen.
You know, Linda said something to me, I think it was this morning, over a situation. And she said, we have to remember one thing, and you especially, Pat. This is a benevolent universe. We have not come this far to fail. We're being pushed to go further. We're being pushed to do something that doesn't exist in the world. And sometimes things have to change for that to happen. I had to change from having a 25-year career to not having it. Why? I wouldn't be here. I would not be here. Had the universe not crept in, neither would you, right?
Yeah, totally. Then that's why I think that universal thing about like what keeps us alive, it keeps us motivated, it keeps us becoming, like the things that we try and that we do. Like I'm even thinking about this podcast from Linda being like, you should do a podcast. Like, I don't know how to do a podcast. I don't know what it is. Right. So like this is like my 63rd episode. And like they've gotten better just because we started and kept going and we've tried and we figured some stuff out. And like, but I feel like anything in life, when you think, am I glad I tried? Most people, even if it's not a raging success, like, oh my God, I tried. Am I glad I put myself out there? Am I glad I thought, did it maybe lead to something else that helped with something else? Sure. And again, that part of our self-awareness and growth, the thing that I just want to say, as my closer is having a beginner's mindset. When we think about what we talked about today, it doesn't ask us to be fearless and not be afraid of things.
No.
And having a beginner's mindset, it says, can you be willing? And I think willingness connects with this curiosity. Can I be curious about the most fascinating person I know? Me. Can I be willing so that the fear doesn't take over? And then the head, I call it head trash. Some people call it monkey mind, but whatever it is, doesn't get so loud that you can't listen to the other voice. So like, why don't you just try? Like, I'm proud of you for showing up. You don't have to be the best in the room. It's good that you're trying this thing. Isn't this neat that you have this experience? Like those softer, kinder things. And then also the motivation to be like, I'm not a quitter. I'm willing to try. And notice that all starts in here first, the mind first, and then the actions will follow.
Carrie, thank you for today. Again, give out your website.
Yes, it's KnutsenSpeaks.com. You can find all about it. And it's getting an update with my keynote page. Some clips of me at a keynote, which is funny because going to this, I told myself one time, like, well, I'm a good session speaker. I don't know if I'll ever be a keynote. And now I have a keynote page and it's beautiful. And so, yeah, I'm updating my website now and putting some more courses up there. I also have some new things I'm doing with training trainers, like speakers who want to get better at speaking. So I'm excited to talk about those as we go on. I'm just starting some new and exciting things that I'm stepping into.
I love it. I want to leave everybody with this from another book that I'm reading. The barriers between you and your greater good are not barriers themselves. They are things of thought. Remember this, it is done unto you as you believe. What is better than to wipe the slate clean and start a fresh new mind, uninhibited by doubt, fear, questionability around your vision. So let's kick it up a few hundred notches this year. Thanks to Carrie Knutsen. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Get Big Out Loud Radio, where we explore the complex, funny, and beautiful ride of life with me, Carrie Knutsen, joining Dr. Pat live every second Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I will help you to know which thoughts are keeping you small in order for you to get big. Get big and live your life out loud. For more information, visit KnutsenSpeaks.com.